I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Greg Zakowicz. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I am fabulous. How are you?
I'm excellent. Whew, I had a spin just a while ago, but I'm excellent now. Oh, what part of the world are you in right now, Greg?
I'm in Durham, North Carolina, so United States. But beautiful Durham.
Yeah, I was there, a couple of months ago. Pretty amazing place.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, some nice car shows. Ooh, you guys it was a nice car show when I was there. Came there to a conference by Stephen Scoggins, and I have a very good friend there called Josh Bledsoe. After I get through this conversation, I'll decide if I'll connect you both, right?
Based on my answers, right? I'm being judged already.
No, just to make sure it's a good fit, right? He's the Spartan type guy. So you guys had a Spartan race recently. Are you a Spartan race type guy?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know that I would.
Yeah.
I don't know that I wouldn't.
Okay. All right. Well, you're a fit then. I'll connect you.
Perfect.
Yeah, well, Greg, please do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time.
Yeah, so that would be podcasting.
Sweet. Tell us about your podcast, my friend.
Sure. It is called the Commerce Marketer Podcast, and it's a podcast designed we're talking really about the retail and e-commerce space right now. So obviously consumer trends, online shopping, online marketing, brick and mortar marketing. So we have guests on that kind of talk about all the consumer changes, just what's coming ahead in e-commerce and retail. And I'm a lighthearted guy. I like to have some fun. So we try to have some fun during the conversation as well. So game show questions and try to keep it a little less dry and a little more upbeat and positive.
Yeah, in the ending, you ask some questions, don't you, that are fun?
I do, yeah. So I have to start rotating because if anyone tries to do prep before they get on the show, it's, how many fish can you name in 15 seconds?
Which was crazy. Like that guy named a lot, right? The last guest you had on, I was like, wow, okay.
We had a guy named 9. And, if you think about it, that's almost 1 a second. That's tough to do, so it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I thought he had time to prep. I didn't know he didn't know that was coming. He was pretty good.
Yeah. It's impressive because they're all on the fly, and I always point out on the podcast that almost no one says goldfish on those things, and almost everyone says whale, and then immediately stops and says, "Well, that's not a fish."
It's amazing how the mind works, right?
It really is.
Yeah, I'm fascinated as well. Well, you've been doing what you're doing via your podcast, which is e-commerce. Where did the inspiration come to start the podcast side of what you do via e-commerce?
It's kind of twofold. So I work for a company called Bronto Software here in Durham, and our core business is like an email service provider. So we send emails. We have other things as well, but online marketing, right, for retailers. So, I do a lot of conference presentations and things like that, and we were looking at different types of outlets and things like that to kind of talk about it. And I do a lot of byline writing and just about industry trends. And I said, well, what about podcasts? And they looked at me and they said, okay, go do that. And I was like, oh, okay. And kind of the genesis behind that is it kind of takes me back. I was a radio broadcasting major in college, so I thought I wanted to work in radio as a career, and I kind of chose marketing as a fallback career. And a couple of years in radio of having moderate success, I decided to make that career transition. So I'm now, 15, 20 years later, falling back to my original major, which was radio broadcasting. So I've always had a love for it, even back as a child, but it's kind of nice to come full circle with it now.
Yeah, it's like you're getting paid to have fun.
Yeah, and I'll take it any day of the week.
I love that. That is amazing. So the name of the podcast again is the Commerce Marketer Podcast. Who came up with the name?
That was me. We have I say kind of me. That's not really a accurate statement. We have a a monthly newsletter that goes out with articles and things like that called The Commerce Marketer. So we just did the Commerce Marketer podcast, just kind of stuck the word podcast at the end and give it the title.
Now that you've been doing that, just from the perspective of the company, and even for those that are listening that do own companies, have you seen it to be are you guys using it as a lead magnet? And if yes, do you see it as being effective?
We do it as more of a thought leadership perspective. So we don't have it's not gated. There's no, at least right now, there's no gated content that we try to drive people to. So it's, hey, you want to listen and try to either learn something or just, engage in some active listening in the space. That's really all we're doing with it. So it's more thought leadership than anything else. Obviously, if someone wants to listen and comes over to us to have that conversation, that's great because it's doing its job. But it's really just kind of following passions. I'm passionate about e-commerce and retail and kind of the technology that's changing everything, and our company is as a whole. So generally, you'll find people in the marketing space and e-commerce space, they are usually pretty passionate about it as well. So it's, you learn from your peers and just kind of have some enjoyment with it as opposed to just being work, 24/7.
Yeah, I think it speaks hugely of Bronto software though, in terms of their passion and how they serve, and just that little thing. It's pretty amazing.
I will say they are hands off with me, so I kind of do whatever I want with it, which is nice. It'll probably get me in trouble at some point.
Well, it definitely is connecting the company to so many different areas, right? I mean, just think about it. I'm in Trinidad and I'm saying the word Bronto software, right? And for all those that are listening to me, they're hearing the word Bronto software. So it definitely is working.
That's it's crazy to think about it. And I don't know, you've done 2 million of these podcasts already so far. So
2 million and 2 million and 2.
So it's amazing to reach at just I say an average person, but you're far above average. But just to reach at a person, regardless of where in the world they're located, has the potential to reach someone else on the other side of the globe. I find it fascinating. I think it's amazing.
Me too. I'm amazed at how people play it down. Like, I'm listening to over 100 countries. I think 100 countries. I think it's just fascinating. I still wonder, right, how all of this is working because yes, the science is there and it explains it. It's just still super fascinating to me, and that's another conversation. So Greg, please tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
I'll give you 2, but I'll try to be very brief about it just for time's sake. So one, professionally, I've just always tried, and it's gone beyond 3 years, but I just try to do everything better every day if I can. So I always try to excel in what I'm doing there, and that's something I actively work forward to. On a personal level, and probably more important level for me, I try to be a very active father. So hopefully 99% of the time I can do that, but I put my kids first and foremost above everything, and I try to be an active parent with them. So so I'm most proud of about that one, but I put a lot of work into it.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great. The kids smile and they they fight over who I have to read with that night sometimes, sometimes not. Depends if they got in trouble that day. But it's great just to see the smile and the love they have for you. And there's no better feeling in the world.
Yeah. My 2 sons got their haircuts today, and hey, you would know. So do you have sons or daughters? And a son?
Yeah, 2 boys.
2 boys.
So 5 and 3.
Yeah, so right. So mine is 7, just about to be 8, and 3. So you know what the haircut time looks like then. It's like they're fresh, and it's like your children. And my wife said, "Aren't you amazed by them?" I said, "I'm fascinated." So I do know what you speak of, because just before I started podcasting, like, I ran across and I gave them the hug and the kiss, and it really is amazing. Children are so amazing. So yeah, another conversation again.
I'll have that one all day long.
Yeah, most definitely. Suggest to someone who's listening why they should even consider that aspect of their life, and just definitely putting focus on the values that family bring.
Well, I think, to each his own. Obviously, I don't think anyone becomes a parent and consciously says, "Oh, I don't want to be an active parent, or I want to be a bad parent." So I think it's innate in everyone to try to be a good parent. It's just, before you get into it, it's challenging, right? More than anyone else. It's a very difficult yet very rewarding thing. you get out of it. It's like everything else in life. You get out of it what you put into it. So if you want to work 24/7, you're probably going to be relatively successful because you're going to get a lot out of it, as long as you're good at what you do. And the same thing with parenting. It's hard. Parents know it. People that don't have, it's a cliche, right? You'll never love something so much when you have a kid. And if you don't have a kid, you don't really understand that. But, if you're a parent, if you want to get just the best out of being a parent you can, yeah, be active, and that's going to be best for you. So that's why I would recommend doing it.
Amazing audience. We are live with Greg Zakowicz. Again, I hope I'm not butchering his name. I think I got it. Did I get it? Greg Zakowicz.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Greg is the podcast host of the Commerce Marketer podcast. Definitely check that out. Amazing stuff. He's just throwing out content there. Well, Greg, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Greg, what is your earliest childhood memory?
I have a few of them, and I say my parents got separated when I was young, so I don't know which one was actually first, but I have a general, kind of a time period I can kind of stick them in. One that always sticks out to me is just running around in my jammies, and I know I was in a diaper at the time, and we had this coffee table, and I'm running with my older brother, and I remember I don't know if I fell off a couch or whatever, but I cracked my head on the corner of this table, and I just remember, my mom snuggling me, and I think I had red onesie PJs on with the feet covers or whatever. But I remember that for some reason, among a couple other things. But I don't know why that one sticks out to me. I don't know if it was the snuggling, which I still like to snuggle, but I don't know what it was about that memory that sticks with me.
Yeah, it definitely is fascinating how you can connect the dots, if you would, to the artwork, which is the coffee cup on the table of the podcast artwork. And I'm just drawing on straws here.
That's the exact table that I cracked my head on.
Are you serious?
No. Our creative department did that once. So.
I really got frightened there for a second. It's just amazing. It's just amazing how the cuddling that you spoke of, the love that you spoke of, that you were connected to at that time, is the love that you're ensuring your boys get now. And it's just fascinating how one small seed can grow into so much more.
I would agree with that. I could probably paint back to 10 other memories, and that probably didn't go so well for me or whatever. But it's the one that I think about that kind of translates to where I'm at in life right now, right? My kids have both cracked their heads on stuff, and you do the exact same thing. So I love it. Life is a funny place.
It is. If we fast forward, Greg, to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
Oh man, that is so tough, because that was I was into things like I started getting into like heavier rock at that time, so Guns N' Roses and probably Queen's rock at the time, and things like Faith No More I was probably listening to. So probably something along that genre. Metallica was probably, some song there was probably my favorite. But, I was 12, right at the cusp of when Pearl Jam came out and Nirvana really came out and things like that. So I'm not sure. My guess is it was probably a Metallica song at that point, but it very well could have quickly shifted to like a Nirvana or Pearl Jam or something, one of those grunge type bands.
All right, cool. All right, my friend. Well, now we have arrived at our destination, Greg. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here, Greg. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Have you chosen someone, Greg, to pass on your skills to?
Not really. I will teach anyone of any age anything they want to know. But, my goal is to, especially with children, give them guidance and kind of let them choose their own path. So if someone wants to come to me, I'm happy to teach you whatever you want to know, but not necessarily, no.
Now, you are married. You spoke of your wife, right? Well, you didn't say your wife. So, sorry. Are you married?
Yeah, I got a few of them. I'm married for 6 years now, and I have the 2 children, the 2 boys we spoke of.
What's your wife's name?
Nicole.
Okay, Nicole. I didn't laugh as though he should have more than one wife. I laughed at the fact that you're going to be listening to this when he said that, right? All right. Do you believe in God?
Maybe. I was raised Catholic. I'm raising my children to be Catholic, but I also love space. I love science. I like dinosaurs, and I find it hard just with vastness of space and the existence of dinosaurs to really kind of connect into the faith. So I don't know.
Okay. All right.
But I guess that's why they call it faith, right?
Yeah. Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
I'm probably right about the 3-hour mark. After the kids go to bed, I watch a lot of sports, so I probably fit in about 2.5 to 3 a day.
What about screen time? The phone under the computer, is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
On work days, probably more than 8 because my job dictates I'm in front of the computer all day long. I'll be on my phone a little bit at nighttime, but I try to stay off my phone as much as possible during the weekends. So Monday through Friday, more than 8. Definitely less than 8 on the weekends.
Are you standing or sitting at your desk?
Mostly sitting, but I do use a treadmill desk as well, so I'll do a little walking as well.
Cool. If you had to share with us a statement that represents who you are, your own unique real statement, what would that be?
Be kind to people. This world's a tough place. It's a very negative place, and being kind is the one thing that you can get a lot out of, just with strangers or personally, just with people you know. So it's easier said than done, but just be kind to people.
Love it. Hey, Greg, this was a great pleasure, my friend. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Commerce Marketer Podcast. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter just to have a conversation, say hi, and keep up the good work. You're doing a great job.
Hey, thank you, my friend. You as well. Greg Zakowicz, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.